You know how they say the snow tells stories? It shows every footprint, every visit. My story starts with the one print it shouldn't have shown. I live alone in a cabin outside Tromsø. It's remote, perfect for my work and my dog, Fenrir. In January 2025, we had a week of pure whiteout, no sun, just perpetual bluish twilight and falling snow. On the third day, the storm finally broke. I suited up to clear the path to my woodshed. That's when I saw it. A single, crisp boot print right in the middle of the freshly fallen snow on my porch. Not mine, I hadn't been out. It was large, pointing directly at my front door, no trail leading to it or from it, just one print. As if someone had materialized there, taken one step, and vanished. My blood went cold. Fenrir, usually brave, whined and refused to go near it. I called the local police. They said it was probably a snow clump that fell from the roof. It wasn't. The next morning, there were two prints closer to the door. I installed my backup wildlife camera that night, pointing at the porch. I barely slept. The video feed showed nothing but swirling snow until 3:17 a.m. Then, the motion sensor triggered. The screen didn't show a person. It showed the snow on the porch. Depressing. As if an invisible, heavy weight stood there for a full minute. Then a second depression formed a step closer. The footage had no sound, but Fenrir, asleep by my bed, growled low in his throat at that exact moment on the recording. The following day, 4 prints. Right up to the door handle. I was packing my car to leave when the power failed. My phone died. The landline was dead. The silence was absolute, broken only by the crackle of ice on the roof. And then, a new sound. A slow, deliberate scratching. Not at the door, at the wall. Moving along the side of the house, from window to window. Fenrir went berserk, hurling himself at the walls. I grabbed an axe and shouted, "Who's there?" The scratching stopped. A voice answered, so close it could have been inside the room with me. It was a perfect mimic of my own voice, but flat, like a recording. It said, "I'm just checking. The snow was never empty." I found the courage to look out the bedroom window. The prints in the snow now completely surrounded the cabin, a perfect circle. In the center of the circle, where nothing had been, stood a shadow. Not a cast shadow. A shadow made of solid, dark mist in the shape of a man. It was looking up at my window. I broke a window at the back, and Fenrir and I ran into the woods. We made it to my neighbor's 5 kilometers away. He took me in, pale. He said quietly, "You saw the Felgisven? The follow companion? It doesn't come in. It just waits for you to be alone enough that you become part of the winter." I never went back for my things. The authorities found nothing wrong with the cabin, but the official report noted, "Severe psychological episode brought on by isolation." They didn't explain the perfect circle of footprints in the snow, all facing inward, or why, in the photo they sent me, there appears to be a tall, dark blur standing in the very center of that circle. I worked the late shift at the Silver Creek Resort. The last run of the day, Powderhound's Descent, was always my responsibility to sweep, making sure no one was left on the mountain. On December 28th, 2025, a wicked squall blew in, early. By my sweep, visibility was near zero. I was halfway down when my radio crackled. Base said, "Maya, we show one more skier on your trail. Tag didn't scan out. Can you confirm?" I saw no one. I called out. Nothing. Then, through the sideways snow, I saw a figure standing motionless off the trail by the old pine grove. I skied over. It was a man in outdated 82nd style ski gear. His goggles were reflective. "He didn't move. The mountain is closed, sir. You need to follow me down." He slowly turned his head. His voice was muffled by the scarf and wind. "I can't find my party. They took the glade." "There's no glade run here," I said. That area was strictly out of bounds, cliff-filled. He just pointed a gloved hand into the blinding white. They're right there. Can't you hear them? I heard only the wind. Then, faintly, like a memory of sound, I heard laughter. Children's laughter. It was coming from the direction of the cliffs. My professional training screamed at me. "Sir, that's not safe. Follow my tracks now." I began skiing down, checking behind me. He was following, but his technique was wrong, jerky. Like he'd never skied before, yet he kept perfect pace. My radio fizzed again. Bass, voice tense. "Maya, that guest tag. It's pinging from an incident in 1987. System glitch. Get off the mountain now." I looked back. He was gone. Relief washed over me. Then I looked ahead. He was standing in front of me, further down the trail, perfectly still, waiting. I had passed no turnoffs. He hadn't passed me. I took a risky tree route to circumvent him. I finally saw the resort lights below. As I merged back onto the main run, I saw him one last time. He was side by side with 3 other shadowy figures, all in old gear. They were not skiing down. They were standing at the very edge of the cliff I had warned him about. All 4 perfectly still. And then, as one, they simply leaned forward and vanished over the edge. I reported it. A search found nothing, no tracks leading to the cliff edge but mine. But the veteran mountain manager, a man who'd worked here 40 years, went quiet when I described the gear. He pulled a faded incident report from 1987. A family of 4, a father and 3 teenagers, had vanished on the mountain after ignoring closure signs. They were believed to have gone over that cliff. Their bodies were never recovered. Their tags would have been the old scan system, he said quietly. The kind our new computers sometimes misread as active. Now, when I sweep that run in a storm, I never call out. I just listen. And sometimes, over the wind, I still hear that faint, ghostly laughter. It always sounds like it's coming from just behind me. I haul freight across the I-29 corridor. In February 2025, I took a last-minute, well-paying load from Fargo to Winnipeg. The catch: I had to take a remote county road shortcut due to a major wreck on the interstate. My dispatcher said, "Just watch for black ice and plow drifts. Roads deserted." He was right about it being deserted. It was a tunnel through endless, frozen fields under a starless sky. That's when my engine sputtered and died. Complete electrical failure. I was marooned in a silence so deep it hummed. I tried the satellite phone. Dead. CB radio, nothing but static. I was about to settle in for a long, cold wait when I saw the light. A faint, bobbing amber glow way out in the field to my east. Then another. And another. A dozen lights, moving in a slow, converging line. Thank God, I thought. Farmers. I bundled up and trudged toward them. The snow was knee-deep. As I got closer, I saw they weren't tractor lights. They were old-fashioned lanterns, held by people wearing long, dark coats. They were standing in a circle around a huge, dark patch in the field, a spot where the snow was gone, revealing black earth, or ice. One figure turned toward me. I couldn't make out a face under the hood. A voice, raspy and old, said, "You're just in time for the harvest." "My truck broke down," I said, my breath pluming. "Can you call for a tow?" The figure gestured to the dark patch. "The ice is thick tonight. Good for cutting." That's when I saw the tools. Not farming tools. Long, wicked-looking ice saws and picks. They weren't harvesting crops. They were cutting blocks from a massive, perfectly clear frozen surface that shouldn't have been there in the middle of a field. A younger woman, her face pale and serious, stepped close to me and whispered urgently, "Don't help them. Don't touch the ice. And don't look at what's inside it." I looked. In the depth of the clear ice, lit by their lanterns, were shapes. Vague humanoid shapes, suspended, faces pressed against the inner surface as if frozen while trying to escape. I stumbled backward. What is this? The raspy voice spoke again, now with an edge. The winter takes its due. Sometimes it needs helpers. Your truck didn't fail. The cold called it to stop. Panic seized me. I ran. I didn't look back until I reached the road. When I did, the lanterns were gone. The field was just an unbroken sheet of white snow. My heart was hammering. Then my truck's headlights suddenly flared to life, and the engine roared back to life by itself. I drove. I drove like hell and didn't stop until I hit Winnipeg. I never told my company. What would I say? A week later, a local news snippet from that county popped up on my feed. Authorities were investigating the disappearance of a county snowplow driver. He'd vanished on that same road the night I broke down. His plow was found running, perfectly operational. Door open, no signs of struggle. The article ended with a quote from an elderly local. Sometimes, on the coldest nights, the old-timers say you'll see the ice harvesters. If you do, keep driving. They're always looking for strong backs to help with the cutting. Now, I never take remote roads in winter. And if my engine ever dies on a cold, silent night again, I'll freeze to death in my cab before I ever go looking for a helping light.